Hi, everybody. My name is John DePietro.
And I'm Bob Zagami with the Camper Report Show.
And on this Camper Report show, we are going to kind of go against all the national trends of RVers getting younger and younger, because just a couple nights ago on the Do It Now tour, I ran into a lady who is 78 years young. She's a widow and she's full-timing. We're going to hear her story. It's inspirational.
Well, that's that's pretty good. So, and she's traveling solo.
Solo.
Wow, that's amazing. Look at, I've got Mark Polk coming back. He's just finished up a 6-part series for RVing today, where he converts a 4x4 1978 Ram van into a modern camper van. And wow, it's amazing.
I'm looking forward to that, watching that one, because I know he's a master craftsperson.
I tell people it should be absolutely illegal for one man to have all that,
all that talent. Exactly. So I should tell you this, explain the sign behind me. We were in Savannah and took a buggy ride through historic Savannah, and the horse is named George. And the reason it's socially significant is my grandson is named George. Right. So that's the story with that. We're going to have those stories plus all the news of the day from RV Business and Woodall's Campground Magazine. So stay with us, and stay with us right here. Where, Bob?
At the Camper Report Show.
And welcome back to the Camper Report Show. My name is John DePietro. I'm speaking with Bob Zagami, and we are in the news segment of our show. And since Mr. Zagami likes to ask questions, go ahead, Bob, ask some questions about the Do It Now tour.
Well, you know, you've got a full week under your belt. You've been on the road. My first question is, how are you dealing with the weather? I've seen your reports. And
well, Bob, now the reality of it is tomorrow it's 2 weeks on the road.
Oh, okay.
2 weeks.
Right. That's right. Yeah, tomorrow. But yeah.
I will tell you this: as we tape this, I am in the Jacksonville area of Florida. And earlier today, when we stopped at a local fruit stand to get some peaches, it was 98 degrees with a feel-like temperature of 108 degrees. So I am staying sequestered, but that's life in the South. The other thing that's happening down south here is nonstop rotational thunderstorms, where it will rain hard for 5 minutes and then stop, rain hard for 20 minutes and then stop. And every time when it stops, it just gets more and more humid. So we're dealing with it, but you know what? Hey, we complain about the weather regardless of where it is. So this is certainly no exception.
Well, I know you're traveling in a Forest River Dynamax Europa Super C, but you have not had a single complaint about that. So that's got to be, it is a luxury motorhome. That's got to be holding up extremely well in the conditions.
It's holding up extremely well. The air conditioners are excellent. And yesterday, when we were leaving Myrtle Beach, there was some floods. And you know what? There were a few cars that were stalled out on the highway ramps, and we were able to go right around them because this thing sits so high that it wasn't an issue at all. But the other thing about this Europa product is that it holds the road so well. There's no, when you get passed by tractor trailers, there's no sway at all. And it doesn't lose any speed or momentum when you're going up hills. Not that there's a lot of hills in Florida, but it's really a nice product. And I've seen a couple others on the road. We kind of wave to each other as we go by. But one of the trends that I noticed, we were talking before, a couple of the trends that I've noticed here on this trip is that RVers are getting younger and younger and younger. Now, that's contrary to what I said before about finding the 78-year-old woman who is, going full time. But now we're not just seeing families with young kids that are running around the playground. We're seeing many, many families where they have kids and a baby in a stroller. So these families are no more than 30, 35 years old. And another thing is they're staying closer to home. And when we were stopped at Carolina Pines for a couple of days, both of the people on either side of me lived in Conway, South Carolina, the same place that the campground was. And I found that to be interesting.
Tell us a little bit more about the campground. You wrote about that on some of your posts, but it sounds like it was a fantastic place to spend some time.
You know, it was with our partners, Sun Outdoors, and it was built from the ground up. Unlike many of the Sun Outdoors properties, which were acquisitions, of existing campgrounds. I know a couple there up in Maine near you are now Sun properties.
Yep.
But this is 888 sites, and it really, like my wife says it best, it's a cruise on land. It has at least 5 or 6 swimming pools. It has a water park that is big as any of the water parks on Route 1 up in Maine.
Wow.
It has gourmet dining. It has pizza dining. It has hot dog dining. It has live entertainment on weekend nights. And, it's whatever. And they're building another one. I just found out they're building another one in Alabama, where our friend here today, Danny, is going to move over there. And I think that's going to be what, 600 spots, Danny? 900 spots over, over in Alabama. So that's the thing. Oh, connected to the state park, which is very interesting. And the final.
Do they have an all-you-can-eat buffet like the cruise ships?
Oh, all-you-can-eat buffets, right?
No, we don't have meat.
No. A la carte. A la carte. Yeah. But we're going to be talking with Danny tomorrow when we do another segment for another show. But the third thing I've noticed, Bob, down here that is really blatantly obvious is the number of toy haulers. And I discussed that with somebody yesterday, and here's what he told me. He said they love their golf carts. So they buy a toy hauler in order to haul their golf carts. And I'm not talking just a stock golf carts. These are souped up like our friend, what was his name, that we did the golf cart thing with a couple weeks ago.
Oh, Gary?
I don't know. Adam, whatever.
Carl Evans.
Carl Evans,
yeah.
So they love golf carts. So you know what? Because parks like this one that I'm in right now is 444 spots, and they're big. So to get around,
it's pretty much most of the campgrounds down south. Most of the people down south have to have a golf cart. Yeah.
And the other thing that we're finding, and it ties in well with our first story, is people are very loyal to Sun brands, just like they're very loyal to KOA brands because they have loyalty programs. Now, you had mentioned that our Go RVing has just done a survey about loyalty programs, and it was very interesting as to what segment of our audience is the most loyal. Would you speak to that?
Yeah, they said that the outdoor enthusiasts, so the younger people, and not necessarily with kids, just young adults that like being on the outdoors, they're 122% more likely to join loyalty programs to see a part of the community compared to the general population. And loyalty programs have seen a 63% increase in membership since 2020.
Just the last 2 years.
Yeah, so the new people who are coming into the industry like to have these loyalty programs, and they're kind of building up their own communities. And at some point, it might replace some of these owners clubs or some of these other associations that are serving the older generations, because the younger people want something different, and the industry is going to respond to it with loyalty programs. Quite honestly, I haven't seen any. I don't get too many mailings on stuff like that, mainly because I'm not a young kid. But most of the outdoor enthusiasts are under 40, and 20% more likely to stay loyal to brands brands they like than Gen Zers or millennials. So they are more loyal than the Gen Zs and millennials who came into our industry pre-COVID,
right?
In the decades before that. So it is a seminal shift in the way that the people who are deciding to become RVers are going to live their lifestyle a little bit differently than their grandfathers fathers and mothers and what have you.
Yep, exactly. And the other interesting aspect of that, I read 122% more likely, an outdoor enthusiast. And I was surprised with this. It says 122% more likely to join a loyalty program and it really depends upon what the definition of outdoor enthusiast is, because if it's a person that likes to be out in the middle of nowhere boondocking, they're usually not social people. So
And I don't think, and I don't think it would even count them.
yeah,
I'm more curious how they got that 122%. If you got 100 people that like camping and 100 of those like loyalty programs, where do you get the other 22?
Who knows? Who knows? So that's that story. And the other thing is this, 3 or 4 years ago, you ventured out to Dusseldorf, Germany to Caravan Salon, and then COVID took care of that for a couple of years. It's back, and it sounds like it's back and better than ever.
It is amazing. I've always said ever since coming back, and that was my first time there in 2019, everybody who enjoys RVing or wants to learn more or see what it's all about should go to Caravan Salon in Dusseldorf. Every year it starts around the last 1 or 2 days of August and goes into September, runs almost 10 days, 17 buildings in the fairgrounds. And this year they're going to use all 17. They have buildings for tents. They have buildings for supplies. They have buildings for accessories. They have some of the manufacturers take an entire building, like Heimer, which is now part of Thor Industries. They take an entire building that just shows all of their product lines, and they got as many product lines in Germany in Europe as they do here with Thor Industries in the United States. You can see every conceivable type of RV, and interesting enough, and many people don't know this, but most of the RV manufacturers in the United States are sending people every year to Dusseldorf to see, because the engineering is more advanced, the creativity is more pronounced, and they get their ideas there and then bring them back and put them into an American type package.
Yep, exactly. I know Winnebago's using some doors on their View and their Navion product that are European made doors that have some features in them with storage, et cetera.
Yep.
So it's interesting to see, just out of curiosity, comparing the Tampa show to a Caravan Salon, what is a bigger venture?
Oh, Caravan Salon. I don't know how many acres it has, but I mean, you really need 2 or 3 days to see the show the right way. And Tampa, you can do the Tampa show in 1 day. They're spread out in a field, and it is one of the largest ones in terms of space in the United States, but nothing compares to what they put together in Dusseldorf. They have buses that run around the fairgrounds. Buses, Tampa, they got golf carts. Golf carts will take you there. Well, but pre-COVID, they were getting 275,000 people in 10 days. And to put that in perspective and comparing it to the United States, that we used to have a show in California that RVIA used to run. And if you took California, Tampa, and Hershey, the 3 biggest shows in the United States, they still didn't get 275,000 people.
Yep. Wow. So we're going to let you rock. If people joined us late, the story behind me is there are great horse and buggy rides in so many cities. And one of the cool things that RVing allows you to do is go off the beaten path. This time we went to Savannah and we took a horse and buggy ride, and the name of the horse was George.
Who is your grandson's name?
Right. Yeah. He's not my grandson, but he's my grandson's name.
Yeah. So, the horse isn't your grandson. But also, didn't you tell me that you had to go later in the day or early evening because it was so hot they couldn't take the horses out?
That's right. They will not. You know what? They have city inspectors that check the temperatures of the horses. And if the horse's temperature is over a certain temperature, then they shut the horse down.
Wow.
So, you know what? They're taking care of the horses. So
good.
Instead of running from noon to 5, they're running from 7 to 11.
Interesting.
So that's a story. So
right.
Stay with us. We've got 2 great segments right here. Where, Bob?
On the Camper Report Show.
I'm Jesse from Outsiders Calling, and I love adventurous family travel with my wife Jenny and our son Tucker.
For over 3 years, we've RV'd across the US and Mexico, and it's tough to find places that meet all our needs.
Now we plan our trips with the RV Trip Wizard, pull it up in the RV Life app, select it, and go.
It helps us discover amazing new places to grow together as a family.
RV Trip Wizard with the RV Life app is an awesome trip planning combination.
You can get both for one low annual price. Check out rvlife.com to learn more.
All right, welcome back everybody to the Camper Report Show. My guest today is our good friend Mark Polk from RV Education 101. And Mark, it's great to see you again. And I wanted to get you back on because you just completed this incredible project of I don't know if you call it renovating, and it's almost like you built it from the ground up, but a camper van. Tell us a little bit about what got you into it.
Well, first, I appreciate you having me back, Bob. It's good to see you. The way that thing came about was I ran across an ad for a 1978 Dodge van in the marketplace. And what was unique about it was a four-wheel drive conversion that was done back in 78. It was interesting. Dodge sent 700 vans out to Champion Homes. They had a motorhome division back then.
Yeah,
so they sent 700 vans to them, and they converted them to four-wheel drive, and then they sent them back to the dealerships, and the dealers sold them off to individuals. So this was one of those 700 vans. I went digging on the internet to look around and see what I could find, and I only found 2 other ones on the internet that are still in existence today. So I'm sure the way vans got used back then, a lot of them ended up in the scrap yard and, just scrap metal now. But I just had to have that van. I remember when I was a kid, the vans were the big thing. They put the shag carpet in, they put a bed in the back, they loud stereo, and that was a really popular thing. So I told Dawn, I said, I missed out on it as a kid. I'm not going to miss out on it now. So I went and got it. Drug it home. It didn't run. It was in pretty rough shape. Drug it home on the car trailer, unloaded it. And then I just kind of forgot about it a little bit. Well, Dawn was on the phone one day when I wasn't here talking to Jose, the producer of RVing Today. And when he found out that I bought this van, he said to Dawn, do you think Mark would be interested in converting it into a camper van? He said, that's the big thing now is the camper vans. She said, I don't know. I'll talk to him. So I don't know whatever possessed me to do it. But after talking to Jose, I said, yes, I'll do it. So the plan was from the ground up to convert this thing into a modern day camper van with all the amenities. And he had a schedule that he wanted me to try to meet with the segments. So we discussed.
You wound up you broke it down to 6 segments, right?
Yeah, I told him, I don't know if you remember when I restored that old vintage trailer.
The Yellowstone, yeah.
Yes. So
yeah.
I told Jose, I said, that thing took 17 episodes to do that. And I said, we can't do anything like that. He said, what do you think about 6 or 7? Do you think you could do it? And I said, well, he only was wanting to do like 8 minutes on the show, an 8-minute segment, 6 times. And I said, I can't do that. We'll never get it done. But what I can do is I can give you a 6-minute segment, and then I'll put on our YouTube channel, RV Education 101's channel, the full segment. So Jose would get like 8 minutes, and I might have 17 or 18 or 20 minutes on our channel for the same episode.
Yep.
So that's how we did it. So every time we moved to the next episode, I'd give him the 8-minute segment and then put whatever it took to get it done on our channel.
It was quite an undertaking. I mean, I cannot believe that, one man has all this capability, because you did everything. You tore it apart. You did electrical, you did transmissions, you did mechanicals, you painted it, you did the interior furniture, customized everything. How does one come about getting all of that training?
Well, and I even filmed it myself. Dawn was like, I don't want nothing to do with this. After getting me into it, He's like, I'm not going over to the garage every day of my life for 5 months and filming. So I had to set the camera up, figure out the shot, then do that and move and do. It was a big undertaking, but my background was I was an automotive maintenance technician, a warrant officer in the Army. And that was my background. And I ran some huge, and when I say huge, I mean huge fleet maintenance operations like tank battalions or mechanized infantry battalions or MP brigade level maintenance operations. They were big, and I had a lot of people working under me. So the mechanical stuff is just second nature to me. When I was 12 years old, I tore our family lawnmower down just to see what made it tick, and tore the engine down. My dad came home from work and he's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I said, I just wanted to see what this thing was all about. He said, "Well, put it back together." And I said, "I don't know how." So,
well, that's an interesting story though, because one of the things lacking in America today, and I think you'll agree, is we're not teaching the trades. We use, even as unmechanical or ill-equipped as I was as a kid, I could change the oil in a car, I could change the flat tire, and I'd watch when the other kids tore down the engine and what have you. But they don't do that now. They've grown up in a digital age, and
it's sad.
They literally can't change a flat tire or change the oil.
It's funny you say that, because I went to, in 11th and 12th grade, I went to VOTech, vocational technical school. Yep. So 6 weeks, for 6 weeks, they would send us down. I took auto body in 11th grade, and then I took auto mechanics in 12th grade. So I would go for 6 weeks down there and just do nothing but learn how to do body work. And then I'd go back to the school for 6 weeks and just keep rotating throughout the year. So I went through VOTech. That's my background, and that's what kind of launched my military career in automotive maintenance. So I had all that type of training, and then, as a matter of fact, the Army sent me to a welding school for 12 weeks. So I learned, I was proficient at welding. I did body work. I did mechanical work. I know how to wire 120 volts. I know how to wire 12 volts, and some of that was new to me, like installing the entire solar system on the van. That was all new to me, but it was a really fun learning experience. And I just took my time, and I made sure I knew exactly what I was doing. And I just went step 1, step 2, step 3, and it flowed really well. I mean, I did the entire conversion in 5 months.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of the episodes, and they're very detailed, but they're very understandable. But that was always your trait with your training programs for RV Education 101. The thing that makes them the most popular in our industry is that they're so relatable to people that don't have the skills that you have, but you've got the common sense approach to it. You're not up at this level and they're down here trying to understand it. And it comes through on it comes through on all the episodes in terms of what you're doing at that particular time. And the episodes now are all available on RV Education 101
YouTube channel.
And they're also going to be coming up. They're on the RVing Today. So they certainly we'll put the links to those down below so that people have them. What did you come upon any situations where you almost said, we're not going to finish it, or I can't do that? Or was it just the timing you knew what to do, but you had to find the parts, you had to do a lot of research?
Yeah, you have to think ahead, really. You got to think, okay, in 3 more weeks, we're going to be doing this process. So I need to order this, and that was a big part of it. But what scared me the most, and I was nervous and wasn't sure if I could actually do it. We were going to put a RV roof air conditioner on that van roof, which is just flimsy metal, basically. So I'm putting 100-pound air conditioner on top of that roof. And I knew I was going to have to figure out a way to put some type of bracing in. And fortunately, there were two metal braces on the ceiling, and it was about 16, 17 inches apart, and the opening for an air conditioner is 14 by 14.
Wow.
I was able to take square metal tubing, build a frame, weld a frame together, and then I put it up in there and I welded my frame to those ceiling braces all the way around. So when I did that, I actually hung my 220 pounds of weight off of it to make sure it was going to support the air conditioner. So when I got past that air conditioner, I just wiped the sweat off my brow and said, okay, let's go. So I was a little nervous with the solar, the entire solar system, because that was the first real and complete solar system I've installed by myself. So, but it was really quite simple. Go Power was the one that sponsored all of that. And their website is terrific for providing guidance on how to do this stuff. And then they put me in touch with one of the engineers. So a couple times I had to reach out to him just to make sure. I said, now, can I do this without having any issues? Because that, it's a lot of voltage and a lot of things happening. I didn't want the van to burn down to the ground. So I just made sure that I was doing the right thing, and that it just all went together really well.
So it's done. The series is done. The series is out there. When do you get to enjoy it now?
Well,
You get to enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Dawn is chomping at the bit. She wants to take she said, let's go to Colorado in the van. And I'm like, what? I think we better take it on a short trip close to home first. So our son lives up about 2 hours from us, and he lives like 10 minutes from a state park. And they just put in 6 RV sites last year. So we're going to reserve a site. We're going to take the van up there and set it up. And then they're going to come over with their dogs. And they've got miles of hiking trails, and it's a beautiful park. So that's going to be the first real outing. And we're going to do that as soon as the weather gets a little bit cooler. I mean, it's like 95, 97 degrees right now.
Well, I know John's on that Do It Now tour, and he says it's been like 95 to 100 almost every day, and he's down to he's in Savannah, Georgia this week, and so it's been brutal.
Yes, it's brutal. Here in North Carolina, when it gets like that, you don't even venture outside very often.
Well, the same thing's true of my neighbors in Florida. They just stay in. They just don't go out. It's kind of
now I do have the van set up where I can plug it in at a campground and operate everything just like you would in any other RV. And we have it where we can operate it off of a generator, or we have it where we can operate it straight off of solar. So as far as being up there at the park, with 30 amp available, we can run the AC in the van, but it's when you get out of the van, that's the problem. So hiking when it's 97 degrees, I don't know.
Now, are you going to truly enjoy it and have it, as a vacation, or are you going to have the camera out, and kind of reporting on the fit? There's no.
Jose actually said, can you do a 7th segment and take it camping and maybe do it? So we might do a little filming, but it's more for enjoyment than it is for filming. But we might do enough to where we can get a 4 or 5 minute segment out of it give it to them for a finale.
I know you've shown it in the final episode, but I think people would actually like to see it in use, because we know that camper vans and type B motorhomes are very popular now, and there's a whole generation of people out there that are DIY. They just want to do it themselves. So in closing, what advice do you have for somebody that might want to take this on? Although the ones that are doing it themselves now, they're buying the new Sprinters, the new ProMasters, the new Trans. So they're just doing the inside. They're configuring it to their custom thing. But what advice do you have for somebody that might want to venture out and find an old one like you did?
I tell you, I would tell them that you better expect to run into a lot of mechanical issues, getting it up to speed mechanically. This one had more problems than I realized. And that was a lot of work in itself. The whole first episode is mechanically making it safe and sound. So if you're going to do an older one, you need to be prepared for that. And then I would say when if you're going to go into depth like I did with the electrical and the plumbing and everything, you need to consult a professional to make sure if you're going to do that you do it right, because if it's not done right, there's safety hazards. You can really have some fire issues and stuff. So you have to really know what you're doing. Now, a lot of these people are just putting a camp stove and taking water and having a hand pump to get the water. So they're really the bare essential basics, and they're not getting into everything I did. But I figured if we're going to travel in this thing, I want it to be up to today's standards. So.
All right. Our guest today has been Mark Polk from RVEducation101.com, probably the #1 consumer education and training company in the RV industry, and just telling us a little bit about his side work of doing a complete camper van that you can see on his website or on the RVing Today website. And we'll drop some pictures in here, Mark, and a little bit of the videos and some URLs, and let people see what went on behind the scenes.
Hey, Bob, one last thing. Tomorrow I'm going to look at a 1958 Lone Star boat.
A boat?
A boat. We live on a lake, so that's my next project.
Well, that's true, yeah.
A 58 Lone Star.
Wow.
Yeah, so just to let you know.
Now, is that Don's idea also?
No. No.
This is payback for the van. So now I'm going to take care of Mark.
Yes.
All right, Mark. Thanks.
Good to see you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Mike here from RV Blogger. Don't waste hundreds of dollars on an external GPS for your RV. All you need to do is download the RV Life app right onto your phone. This app is so cool. It has RV GPS built right into it. So you can load all the specific measurements and weights for your RV. It'll give you directions safe for your RV to follow. And by the way, if you have RV Trip Wizard, directions for your trips upload into this GPS automatically.
Hey everybody, the Do It Now tour continues. We are in, where are we?
I think that I don't know, I forgot.
Oh, we're in North Carolina.
Well,
we're in North Carolina, and we're heading for a campers in location tomorrow. And you know what, folks? It's been proven over and over again that you meet the nicest people when you're RVing. And I happened to meet this young lady. We were checking in at the same time. And her Airstream Interstate is right behind me over there. And we just started talking, and she has a story that is inspirational to anybody, let alone just women. So tell us your name, where you're from, and you can tell us your age if you want. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I'll tell it if you don't.
No problem. I'm proud to be 80. No, I'm not. I wish I were 80, but I'm 78. And my husband and I were married for 47 years, and he passed away in 2012 in June. And it's been 9 years this past June 20th. My name is Pamela, legally, Kroniski, but I go by Paddy. I spell it Paddy in deference to my father's Irish background.
And you were a teacher for many, many years?
This is true, in Prince George's County, Maryland.
Okay, so you said that you and your husband did not RV together, but you got brave and said, I'm going to do it. I'm tired of hanging around this house. Is that kind of what it was?
Well, I moved 12 times in the year after he died. Joseph died. And that was getting pretty old. And so I said,
You were running from the police, or did you owe money to the IRS? Did you not pay estate taxes? What was it?
it wasn't any of those
None of the
things.
above.
No, but I was trying to find out what am I going to do with my life. Okay, Joseph.
When you grow up.
Yes. Joseph and I got married when I was barely 21 or 20, and then got married in 65, and had a baby, 10 months or 11 months later, and then before Joey, our son, was even 3, Joseph was diagnosed with rectal cancer and had a colostomy.
This is your husband?
This is my husband.
Yeah.
And he's a saint, and he lived with that until he died at the age of 72. But I said to myself after the 12th move, I said, this is getting old, and I'm getting a home with wheels. I tend to be a very spontaneous type person. My son, really, I think he would have liked to have had me committed.
Committed.
But fortunately, I bought this camper up in the more northern part of Florida, so he wasn't nearby. He didn't even know I was going to do that because I figured he'd have a fit. But nevertheless, he's come to believe that it was a good move for me.
Yeah. And this is your son, who is what, 50-something now?
He is.
He's
He
50-something.
is indeed. And
Okay. So he approves of your globetrotting, and you have done some extensive travel in 3 years. Tell us a little bit about that travel.
Well, I at the beginning, the first year, and my first year, I bought it in March of 2019. Okay,
Just pre-COVID.
Exactly, but not a whole lot pre-COVID. And so on my very first night, my very first night of owning this home on wheels, and I do live in it, full time. The person who sold it to me, which was a dealership, and they said, look, it's getting late. I'm going to make a reservation for you at a KOA.
Yeah.
Okay, and he did, and it was nearby, but it was dark.
Yep.
And so, like this place, there's that big sign that says KOA.
Yeah.
But the place I was going to didn't have an arrow like they did.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And there was a road right next
Wrong
to it.
street.
And I went down that first road, and it was a narrow, dark, winding road, and there was a car behind me the whole time. And there I am. It's like 8:30 at night, dark as the inside of a cow. And
Where did that analogy come from?
my grandmother.
Dark is the inside of a cow.
Not,
Okay.
I can't say I've been there, but my grandmother assures me it's really dark in there. At any rate, I finally got so nervous with this guy
Behind you.
behind me that I thought, I kept looking for a place to make a
turn around.
right, to make
Yeah.
a right, make a right. And I almost made it, but I ended up in a ditch, and my van was like that. And so it's like, I didn't want to move around a lot because I didn't know if it would land on its side.
That was your first night. So you made it through that.
I made it through that.
And that guy turned out to be okay? He helped you out?
Well, no, he went down the road.
Oh, he
didn't
kept
even
going.
He
He
kept
didn't
going.
stop.
And so, but I had a phone, and I called AAA, and the man that came and
You didn't bring it back the next day and say, I want nothing to do with this. You kept it.
I don't think you could do that down in Florida. Anyway.
So talk about your trips.
But that first trip, I drove up to Norfolk,
Virginia.
Portsmouth area to see this good friend of mine. Then I drove into Richmond to see somebody else. I drove up to New Jersey to see an elderly couple, and I'm so glad I did, because pretty soon after that the husband died. And then I came back a different route, but back to Miami. And so it was about 2,000 miles by the time I did all the ins and outs. I'm very good at making U-turns because I have no sense of direction.
Yeah, good at U-turns. Okay, so let me ask you this, because we only got a couple minutes left. Talk to people your own age that are sitting at home saying, I'd love to do it, but I'm afraid.
There's a verse in the Bible that says, "Night has no terrors for me, sleeping under God's wings." And I believe that, and I have never been afraid. I've just pulled over on the side of 95. I pulled into Walmart lots. I pulled into Cracker Barrel lots. I pulled into gas stations and McDonald's and just conked out.
Hours, yeah.
And no, I slept to the next
slept for the
morning.
night, okay.
You know, but I think that I've never been really afraid driving. People are so nice to old white-haired ladies, you know, and of all races, they're very considerate.
So talk to women who are either single or widowed or never married or whatever, but you know, are getting up there on the age spectrum and would like to do it as well. It sounds like you have no fear, gender-wise or age-wise at all.
I don't believe I do. Although if somebody came, you know, knocking at the door at the middle of the night, or a bear, you know, was scratching, I'd probably generate a few goosebumps. I'm sure it would. However, I'm 78, and I've never done anything like this in my life. And I'm saying, do it. You know, there's no guarantees. But my big concern, and the reason why I jumped on this vehicle, was my husband, when his manure gene kicked in and he wanted a farm after he retired, we got a 90-acre farm and raised cow-calf pairs down in South Central Virginia. And we, you know, I drove a tractor, I helped rake the hay, and eventually he got so sick, we had to sell the farm.
Yeah.
But the point is that I love adventure, even small adventures. Okay, and the beauty of a new day and a new sky and a new place, and new people. It's a privilege. It's really a privilege. And I knew from backing up tractors to hook up another piece of equipment, you know, that I would not be able to do a truck onto a teardrop or something. I couldn't. That was not in my purview.
So you looked at that one-piece Airstream, and you're happy you did?
I am delighted. Yes, I really am. I like the fact that if it's raining, I don't even have to get out and plug it in if I don't want to.
Exactly.
You
so
know?
we want to thank you so much for taking time from your busy day to talk to people. I know that we're going to get tons and tons of comments, and wish you well in your future travels. We're heading down 95 together tomorrow, I guess, right? You going south or north?
I'm going north.
North, okay, so we'll see you somewhere.
I
along
hope
the
so.
road.
What a delight.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
day. Thanks so much.
Bye.